Word.
Welcome. We are back. A lot of people thought this show was over. They said it was dead, that we were dead. There were a lot of rumors going around, speculation, but the Word on the Street podcast is back, people. What? It is February 19th, the year 2015. Still AC after Chael. It has been over a year since our hero, MMA fighter Chael Sonnen, has fought. He did not fight in the year 2014 at all. A lot of people don't realize that, how quickly time flies. Here we're already at the end of February almost. And it's just been a while since we've gone back to our roots here on the show, so I thought I'd come back with a special guest, one of the original top guests and co-hosts and producers and hosts of all time. He is none other than the living legend himself, Coach Jamie Huey. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm well, guys, and I'm currently here in Utah. So apparently, it's tradition to call everybody brother and sister. So in the spirit of Salt Lake, brother Jake, brother Ramses, it's back. It's good to be back.
Are you wearing like weird ass clothes and facial hair right now?
No, I think that's the Amish. But
okay.
Yeah, no,
well,
I'm good.
There's Mormons got some kind of rule about wearing something. I don't remember.
They got some. Well, they got the underwear thing that they do.
Right. The kind that preserves your chastity.
But hopefully, I don't plan on seeing any of that in this trip. So I think
that's
I'm
right,
good.
Man. That's right. You got your hands full, actually. But right before we ask you about how everything's been going lately, of course, also with us, my co-host, my producer. He is a miracle in his own right. He makes this thing happen. He gets us live. He is Jake from the MMA podcast. How are you doing, Jake? What do you hear? What do you say?
With 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita, and a Bloody Mary.
That's right. I'm doing well. You can follow us at the MMA podcast. As always, we haven't done a word on the stream in a while, so I'm glad we are doing it again. I'm glad we got the coach back. It's been a crazy week in MMA. Yesterday was maybe like the biggest news day the sport has seen in a few years with all the fight announcements, the PED thing. I'm sure we'll dive into all of it. But like I said, Ramses, it's good to be back. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be talking about the latest UFC news and rumors, MMA results, upcoming fights. We'll get to that. All the scandals, of course, the bad news recently. But honestly, the UFC rolls on. They're hitting their biggest numbers in a long time. It's a juggernaut.
10 title fights in the next 5 months. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty much every champion, right? Is there any champion that's not going to defend his title?
Nope. Every single title is going to be up on the line in the next 5 months, barring injury. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's see if we make it 10 out of 10. Somehow, law of averages.
If we can make it 7 out of 10, I would be happy, to be completely honest, with all the injuries we've been fucking having.
That's not bad. 7 out of 10, no problem.
Yeah, it's not just injuries. We got to worry about post drug test as well. So we might be lucky to get 3 out of 10.
Yep. Now they want to know what these guys are eating for breakfast. Coach Huey, man, right before we get into the latest news, how much longer until Junior, the legacy of Coach Huey,
Baby Huey,
is born? He's on the way. Congratulations once again. It's been a couple months. How much longer do we have? Give us an update all around. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. So the first week of April, early second, sometime in between. The due date's actually April 10th, but it never happens. So yeah, man, I'm coming up. I'm coming up on, what am I looking at? 1, 2, 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm excited. Or no, wait, I'm sorry,
It's gonna
not
be
3
about-
weeks. Wait, February, March. Yeah, so I've got a little bit of time. Never mind.
That's 6 or 7, maybe.
It seems like a
6
couple
to 8
weeks,
weeks.
but yeah.
So
Before you know.
I heard you mention you're going to Brazil.
Yeah, I was there. I was there recently. I've been back for since January, early January sometime. Then I'll go back over in March. And then
Wait
the
a
baby's,
minute. Where's this baby going to be born?
in Brazil. Yeah, we're
I
actually.
see.
Yeah, she's in Brazil. Had to take do some immigration stuff and take care of some things. So Tiago, he'll be born in Brazil, and then we'll bring him back shortly after.
All right. He'll be legit. I get what you're going for there. He'll be legit. Brazilian American.
Dual citizen, yeah.
Yep. Because if it were the other way around.
Tri-citizen. His mom's actually got dual citizenship with Brazil and Italy. So this kid's going to be completely geographically confused.
Wow.
But
That's awesome, though. That honestly, are you? I know it's your first one, man. Are you nervous?
yeah, a little bit. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. I'm just kind of really trying to focus on what I need to get done before it happens, and get everything ready for that. So. It's kind of one of those things, man. I mean, you try to plan for it, but I don't. This is my first one, so I'm just kind of winging it here. But yeah, I'm definitely excited, man. It's gonna be fun.
Now your kid and of course Chael Sonnen is also expecting. They're going to be born roughly around the same time.
Yeah, and one of the coaches in the gym, Dennis Davis, who I've got to get Dennis on the podcast. He's probably one of the only coaches, with the exception of Ray Sefo, that we haven't had on the podcast. But he's got a boy being born about 2 weeks after me. So yeah, man, there's a lot of boys coming into the world. We got some sparring partners.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got to either form a gym, train together, or of course one day fight each other. Just that's
well, hopefully not the last one, but yeah, I'm on board for the other ones.
I'm sure it'll be a friendly match, an exhibition of sorts.
If it's anything like that fight we had between Alan and Yao, then boy, I was never seen so much blood.
I'm still trying to get the footage released. A lot of it is pretty violent and graphic. Would never pass even a YouTube or even Live Leak wouldn't even post that shit. But Jake, do we have an update on the footage?
This is like an ISIS beheading or something. Oh, sorry, man. I just had something stuck in the back of my throat. That was horrible. But yeah, the footage. What can I say about the footage other than that? I know Alan has it. I know Yao has it. And as far as making it available to the public, we might be able to release it in the build-up to the third fight. But until the third fight is announced, the second fight is going to remain in the vault.
That's right. They did challenge each other on the last episode, I believe.
And I do apologize for having a frog in the back of my throat there. Jesus Christ, I was choking.
Well, that's what happens when you're just downing booze and
a menthol throat lozenge.
Whatever's going on over there, man. Look, we'll have an intervention for you later. But what I wanted to ask Coach Huey, speaking of interventions, Mr. Chael Sonnen, he told the story about meeting up with Front Row Brian, and I know that you've met up with Front Row Brian before, Coach, and had a few beers with him. I know that Jake has as well. So this is a question to both of you. The story that Chael Sonnen told, Brian was drinking Jack Daniels and trying to wrestle Ben Askren and then trying to take him down, throwing up all over himself. And I love the guy. I love him to death. But is that the way it goes down usually? I mean, did he try to wrestle you guys? Did he seem outrageous and out of control? basically I tried to get him on the show, but he wasn't available. Otherwise, we'd be having an intervention right now. But do you guys think he's at that point yet? How crazy is this man from your experiences? The front row, Brian.
Jake, I'll let you touch on this, and then I'll go after you.
You know, Brian is endorsed by Coors Light to drink the cold Coors Light. And the whole thing about him drinking Jack Daniels doesn't pay Brian. So I couldn't see Brian, drinking a beverage that wasn't endorsing him to drink that beverage. So I don't know. I might have to throw the flag on that one.
Coach, you've had a couple beers. Was he crazier?
Brian's basically, he's got a card from Coors Light that, so when we go out to, wherever, I guess he resubmits a expense report or something. So anywhere he goes, I mean, we're drinking Coors Light pretty much for free. So, him dabbling in some Jack Daniels, that probably wasn't a smart idea for him. Brian's a great dude, man, but he's a gangster when he gets drunk. We were in Jersey years back, and I can't remember who was fighting, but he almost got in a fist fight with one of the managers. If I said the guy's name, everybody would know exactly who he is, and I don't want to put anybody on blast, but Brian won't back down. He gets a couple beers in him, he's even a little bit more aggressive. So I heard this story. In fact, I heard part of it from Brian. So yeah, it sounds like exactly what happened.
I'm noticing a pattern emerging.
I actually have a story.
Yes.
It was back in November 2013 for UFC 167, which was headlined by GSP and Johnny Hendricks, and the co-main was Chael and Rashad. So Alan, Brian, and I are all sitting watching the weigh-ins. I think it's a table for like 6. It was in the same room they do the David Copperfield shows in, or some stupid shit. So it's me, Alan, Brian, a Canadian couple who was there to see GSP, and this amateur MMA fighter, which I'm not gonna say his name. We've mentioned his name before, but I just don't want to give the guy any credit. But the fighter is asking all of us, so who are you here for? Blah blah blah. We all say we're here for Chael, and the fighter's like, oh, you aren't gonna like me. We're all like, why is that? He's like, well, I'm the guy who at the UFC Q&A a few months ago, I was saying all that disrespectful shit to Chael. Brian took a little bit of an issue with this and was getting in the guy's face, dude, you're a fucking piece of shit. The guy was trying to puff his chest out, man, you dumb motherfuckers, I'm gonna go and get my friends who are fighters too, and I'm gonna be in the UFC before you fucking know it. And Brian's like, yeah, sure you are, dude. Alan and I were kind of looking at each other like, man, are we about to back Brian up in a fight against this MMA fighter? What the fuck is going on? But then actually 5 or 10 minutes later, a few tables down, we saw Chael's uncle Rudy and moved over there, and he's one of the nicest folks you'll ever meet. So it was pretty surreal watching GSP and Hoist Gracie on the stage of the open workouts rolling with each other, but the entire ballroom is looking at our table because there's this verbal back and forth, which Brian, was totally in the fucking right. This guy was the most gigantic douchebag you had ever seen. But it was a pretty funny scenario.
The thing about Brian so here's the thing about Brian. People just think he's some guy on Twitter, and he's got a bunch of followers and they're not really sure what he does, or, Brian's been referred to as the most powerful man on Twitter. And to give you an example, we're in Brazil. Vanderlei walks off the show. Me and Chell are sitting there, and we're kind of trying to, sitting around like, what the hell's going to go on, right? I mean, the fights, the guys just fought to get in the house. They're standing around. Vanderlei doesn't know if he's coming back. Chell gets on the phone. He calls Front Row Brian. Brian, hey, can you get me Vitor Belfort's phone number, right? I don't 5, 10, 15 minutes later, his phone rings back, and, that's Brian. He just, nobody really knows how he gets things, but he does. And now here's an example of this. We're at the Old Team Quest Tualatin. Brian Stan was up there with us, and there was a handful of guys, Yushin and Chris Camozzi, and Chael was probably training for the second Anderson fight. And a friend of ours, Reese, is hanging out, and he was in a conversation with Reese. I believe it was Reese, and he mentioned to him. He goes, you're friends with that guy, that Front Row Brian guy? And Reese goes, yeah, he's buddies. He's a buddy of mine. And Brian Stan tells Reese, he says, well, next time you see him, tell him Brian Stan said to go fuck himself, right? So Reese's like, whoa, okay, yeah, all right. 5-10 minutes later, Brian Stan kind of has some, I don't know, so he comes back up to Reese and he says, hey, remember what I told you to tell Front Row Brian? He says, yeah, never mind. You just forget I said that. And of course, it got back to Brian. But, when Brian Stan, one of the baddest dudes, in the weight class fighting in the UFC at that point, decided that, maybe calling out Front Row Brian wasn't such a good idea. Kind of gives you a little bit of insight to what type of power this guy wields.
And he does, man. And he's a good guy, despite what anybody says. He is a really nice guy. I love him to death. He's I'm co-producing a show along here with Jake. It's been nothing but great. So, but I do have to point out the fact that both you, Coach, and Jake have only actually interacted with this Front Row Brian in person a few times, but he has managed to get into a near altercation with that both of you witnessed separately. I'm just saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know what it is. I still haven't met him yet. I just hope it's not me. I hope that he doesn't single me out and try to rumble with me.
He's the most entertaining personality in sports entertainment.
He is the best. Check out his podcast, the FRB Show, on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, SoundCloud, other sources.
That's it.
Yeah. So, Coach, I do have to talk to you a little bit about one of our friends, one of the best fighters in the UFC. He was previously undefeated up until some bullshit happened in his last fight recently. I'm talking about Kelvin Gastelum. You, of course, coached him on The Ultimate Fighter Season 17. You were a coach on Team Summit. Of course, Kelvin went on to win. He's been on the show numerous times thanks to you. He's even, I don't remember exactly which fight it was, but in one of his UFC post-fight speeches, he actually shouted you out and thanked you personally. Given the fact that, it's kind of hard to, it was hard for me to watch this fight. It was hard for me to accept what happened. He lost to Tyron Woodley via split decision in a really close fight after going through a horrible weight cut. This was a couple weeks ago, but Coach, man, have you seen the fight? What did you think of it? How do you feel about the fact that he's being forced to now move back to middleweight after being forced to move to 170? What's your take on Kelvin lately, the fight, the loss, the weight issues, and the comeback?
Well, I mean, some of the stories have been told, but not all the stories have been told. The reality of what it is, people will come up to me and ask me when they know I have a friendship with Kelvin or worked with him in the past. Oh my God, I can't believe this guy. He gets on the scale. He's 180 pounds, and the reality of that is he got down to 173, is my understanding. And now there's a 1 pound weight. There's a 1 pound that they give you allowance. So technically he could have got on the scale at 171. He would have been fine. So technically he was 2 pounds over. He's 2 pounds over. And he literally passes out. He's not in good shape. He's on the carpet. His coaches do the only thing they can do at that point is they take him into the hospital because, granted it's an important fight, but at the same time, we're talking about a person's health here. Kelvin's a young guy and he's got a long career in front of him, but he's got a family and his first obligation obviously is to his own health.
Yeah, when the guy isn't conscious, you got what else are you gonna do?
And so they take him to the hospital, and they hydrate him because that's what they're going to do at a hospital. Kelvin sucks it up and he's like, I'll still fight. From what I had understood that he was sick earlier in the week, he was kind of feeling like some flu-like symptoms or whatnot. And, he sucked it up. And he still went out there and he fought. And you could clearly see, if you watch any of Kelvin's fights, he was flat-footed. There was no lateral movement. He didn't have that kind of bounce in his step. I mean, you could watch that fight and then you could compare that to any of those other fights that he's had since he's been in this UFC.
He usually moves like Frank Yeager.
Alone. Yeah, his head wasn't moving, his feet weren't moving. He was online, and I think that fight was still close. And I really don't want to say anything bad about Tyron Woodley because, man, what a good thing that guy did. I mean, he could have took, I think it was 30% of Kelvin's purse, and he opted out of that percentage. So I mean, as far as Tyron Woodley goes, man, he's a bad dude. He can fight, and I thought that was real honorable, him making that decision. But if we're taking all the emotional stuff out of it and we're just talking about two guys out there in a fist fight, I think Kelvin lost that fight more than Tyron won it. Kelvin at his best and Tyron Woodley at his best. I think Kelvin beats him 9 out of 10 times.
Jake, what did you think of the fight? Tyron Woodley versus Kelvin Gastelum came down to a split decision.
I think even though I was rooting hard for KG, I think Woodley won two rounds in the white and the white guy. The white guy didn't win. The right guy won the fight. But Coach makes a really good point that I really agree with, that if we would have seen a Kelvin Gastelum at 100%, that Kelvin probably would have ran through him. I think this is going to be a wake-up call for him, and I think we're going to see a rejuvenated Kelvin and a real serious push for the title come late 2015, 2016.
Hopefully, but Coach, man, Kelvin's moving back to middleweight, 185 pounds, which is where you first saw him, where you coached him at. Do you think it's a good idea? Are the dudes, he's going to be fighting some huge fucking dudes. What do you think? How's it going to go for him?
Well, it's kind of, sometimes there's an advantage. Kelvin's very explosive. If you saw how he shot under Jake Ellenberger and took him down, I mean, Kelvin's a very I understand that Jake's a smaller guy as well, but the point is there's an advantage to that sometimes. Mike Tyson was in a big heavyweight, not by the terms of some of the guys like the Klitschko's and Deontay Wilder and some of these guys that are fighting now. that quickness, that agility. Sometimes that could be a big advantage. Kelvin's not going to walk into the 185-pound weight class, and I wouldn't think they're going to throw him in there with a top 15 guy. They're probably going to, put him closer to the back. But Kelvin's been in there with bigger guys. I mean, Kelvin was in there with Bubba McDaniels, and Bubba's huge. I mean, that guy, Bubba, should be a 205-er. Bubba's been in the wrong weight class for a long time. He was in there with Josh Salmon, who just got knockout of the year. Kelvin caught him. That's not Kelvin's weight class. He shouldn't have any business up there at 85. I think Dana's going to kind of probably throw him in there, maybe for one fight. I wouldn't see him throwing him in there for two, because Kelvin's still a contender at 170. But I could see Dana throwing him in there for one fight with maybe a top 20, 25 guy, whatever. Kelvin getting through that guy and pleading his case to get back down to the 170-pound weight class. I'd like to see. Kelvin and I know Mike Doce have kind of gone back and forth on some things, and I'm not really sure where the relationship is, and it's none of my business. But Tyler Minton, he's a guy that
hell yeah,
the Mealy he's a guy that maybe Kelvin should consider kind of hooking up with and working on his. Tyler's done some great things with James Krause. Zach Cummings was a 185er on our show, and every time I see Zach, he's lean and he's looking sharp, and that's a big credit to Tyler. So, Kelvin, obviously he needs to make some adjustments. I'm not saying anything that he doesn't already know. So, we'll see where it goes, but I don't see him hanging around 185 for hopefully more than one fight.
Yeah, and both Zach Cummings and Tyler Minton have been on the show. Great guys. They're doing some good work. Zach Cummings, of course, had a terrible weight cut when he fought overseas, and I think it was Japan or China. But that was before Tyler really came on and straightened up his diet. He hasn't missed weight since. I mean, he had a bad miss. It was like 7 pounds, maybe even more than that, maybe even 10.
Those overseas fights too, man, they changed the game.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
My manager, when I was fighting, Fred Ryan used to take a lot of guys overseas, and obviously there's the jet lag, dehydration in an airplane. If you kind of dehydrate yourself 5 days out before your fight, and then you're trying to cut weight 2 days before your fight, your body's going to kind of falls off of its algorithm. It's like, oh, okay, I'm cutting out now. I need to start holding on, and then you start you're still trying to do your water load. You get off the plane, and then 2 days later, your body's a machine. It really kind of knows. Its fundamental job is to keep you alive. So if it thinks it needs to hold on to water, so the flight, there's a lot of things. I'm not saying that this was Zach's situation, but my manager used to tell me that they drop other managers or fighters, they drop a couple drops of Visine in your water when you aren't looking. Next thing you know, you got diarrhea and you're sick for 24 hours. So there's a lot of things. The food's different, the water's different, the altitude could be different. It's a lot of factors. I'm here in Utah, man, and I tell you what, even just walking up a flight of stairs, I'm feeling it. It's different.
That's true. I've been reading rereading. It's one of my favorite books. The book Alive by Piers Paul's Reed. It's about the guys that the rugby team that crashed into
ate each
Andes
other.
Mountain. Yeah, they had to eat the bodies of the dead to live. And then they eventually, two of them walked out of there with no equipment whatsoever. But at the high altitude and elevation, you actually do dehydrate at a certain altitude. As far as they were up, it was 5 times quicker, the rate of dehydration. So yeah, it might be tougher to cut weight if the elevation changes drastically for you. I think that might be a part of it. Zach also had just recently lost his father, I believe, and he had some personal issues going on. So that was just a tough time overall. But the point is, he hooked up with Tyler Minton, people, at the Melee Way, and ever since then, no problem at all getting his shit together. And I think Kelvin can do it. Obviously, at 185, he's going to get a little break here. I mean, he's not going to have to kill himself before every fight now. And I mean, if he tore through the Tough 17 competition, which was at middleweight at 185, I mean, I got to say that's only going to act in his favor going into this division. I know the UFC in itself is just like, it's the major leagues, but he was not defeated. He crushed everybody he was presented with at 185, being a smaller guy. I think he'll do damn good.
And, it's interesting because, I think what happens is everybody looks at Kelvin and okay, Kelvin's 5'8" or 5'9" or whatever he is. So, based on his height, this guy has absolutely no business fighting above 70. Right. 70 should be an easy weight cut because he's one of the shorter guys at 170. But what people don't realize is, Kelvin kind of reminds me of a guy I worked with for a long time named Mike Pierce.
Tank.
He's like, we used to call him a bag of concrete. I mean, he is so dense. If you look at Kelvin's back, it's huge. I mean, he's huge. His back is just gigantic. He's not like a Hector Lombard where he's got these gigantic muscles popping out and whatnot. I mean, he is just a big, dense kid. He's not super tall, but he's wide, and so, people want to think of just in terms of height, but there's other factors to that. So, yeah, can Kelvin make 170? Absolutely. He's done it. He needs to do it. That's his weight class. But, it's not like there's certain guys that just carry weight different. And, Kelvin's kind of one of those guys.
Yeah, he's one of the best. I don't care what weight he's at. He's going to whoop whoever's ass is in front of him.
Honestly, I think it is complete bullshit that Dana White is making him move up. You have two guys on that same card who Dana is forcing up. He is forcing up Kelvin from 170 to 185, and he's forcing John Lineker up from 125 to 135. John Lineker has missed weight now 4 times, and yeah, Kelvin has had issues in times where he's needed to make weight on the second attempt, but you can't penalize a guy. Yeah, even if he makes weight on the second attempt, he's making weight, and yeah, he's struggled a little bit, but his fight against Woodley was only the second time he's missed weight, and I really hope this is a temporary thing, because I think his chances at 170 are better than his chances at 185, even though I think he could put on some amazing fights at both weight classes and really surprise a lot of people as far as the quality of opponent he could beat at either weight class. I'm just not very down with Dana's seemingly kind of broad-handed approach to bumping him up, and I hope by 2016 he's fighting back at 170 because the guy is a motherfucker at welterweight, man.
Yeah, it was a little weird that Dana was demanding that he move up to 185 after. I mean, the fact is,
second missed weight cut. Come on,
right? It's only 2 actual missed weights, and it's also ridiculous given the fact that Dana and the UFC forced Kelvin to move to 170 to begin with. It's like they made him do that, and now they're punishing him, taking away his ranking that he earned there, where they stuck him.
And the fact that we know Kelvin didn't go out there and he was 100%, but he still showed up.
And it was a close fight.
I kind of got it, and it was a very close fight. I can't help but think, if Kelvin just said, you know what, I can't fight, I slipped in the bathtub, bumped my head, and and I'm not going to show up. Okay, I could understand that. You know, you're a co-main on a big card, and yeah, you're gonna piss off but you know, the fact that you saw Kelvin go out there and you know he wasn't feeling good.
Yep.
And he still fought, man. I mean, you know, you'd think it would kind of balance out.
At 100%, there's no doubt in my mind he beats Tyron Woodley that night.
Coach, did you see the interview with Mike Dolce like a week afterwards where he spoke about Kelvin and all that?
No, I've been kind of avoiding reading or I just don't want to hear anything negative from either.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't.
It actually wasn't that bad this time with Mike.
Yeah, he basically just said that he hadn't heard from KG's people and that you know, things are great with him and that if in the future they wanted to work they could, but really the deepest he got was saying that he needs to make a few, quote, lifestyle changes, I think was the term he used.
The chicken nuggets, man. That's it.
Mama's cooking.
Burger King, Wendy's ran that special, dude. They did. That's a weakness. It's kryptonite. But Jake, you had another topic that we could bring up with the coach before we let him go and wrap up the show. It is the biggest news in the UFC MMA world this week. Go ahead and break it down, and let's get it out there.
PEDs in sport. Apparently, they're really going to start cracking down, going to try and test every single fighter post-fight and do a lot more out of competition testing. And I've seen a lot of folks on both sides of the fence, you know, folks saying that it's an awesome thing and this is a watershed moment and the sport's going in the right direction. And other folks on Twitter like, you know, this isn't going to help. The technology is always on the side of the cheaters, and the cheaters are always going to win, and this is just going to make fights worse, and it's going to make more canceled fights. What side of the fence do you lie on as far as more testing and much harsher penalties? I think Lorenzo said for your first positive test, he's advocating for a 4-year ban, which is crazy. You know, that can, for an older fighter, effectively end his career. And for a younger guy, I mean, even say you're 27, 28, you can't fight again until you're a couple years north of 30, and you might be a completely different athlete. What are your thoughts on all of this going forward now that it seems to be the concrete direction that the UFC is going in?
Man, what a mess. You know, the reality is PEDs, they exist. It's a reality. I don't understand. You know, I don't watch football. I don't watch baseball. I like basketball, but I don't really pay that much attention to it. You know, you can't tell me these football players aren't just juiced out, or basketball players, or you know, obviously there was the big thing that happened in baseball years back, but it seemed like for whatever reason it's kind of subsided. You know, all these athletes, man, or whatever, all these other sports, like how are these guys getting away with it in football? You know, or is it? Are the guys doing the testing? They're kind of in on some of it with the guys that are playing. I don't really know. It really sticks out in MMA for some reason. You know, not so much in any of those other sports. It doesn't seem like, and I'm convinced if whatever the percentage of fighters that are using them in the UFC. The same percentage have got to be using them in the NFL, and possibly even more because they're getting away with it. So I don't know if I have the answer, what they should or they shouldn't be doing. But man, it's tough. You know, I was having a conversation with Roy Nelson I don't know, maybe a month ago, right before he left for Florida. And he was saying, hey, like, I got to work hard, man. He goes, I'm the only guy in the division that's probably not juicing right now. So, there's those guys out there. I love that attitude where I love when I hear somebody say, you know what, take all the drugs you want. I'm going to beat you anyway. That's kind of that. I love that attitude. I think that's the right mindset. But I don't know what to do. I really don't. It's going to hurt the sport. It's going to continue to hurt the sport. And I don't know, Dana and Lorenzo getting involved. I don't know if it's a good thing, if it's a bad thing. Like I said, there's the same amount of football players are out there using PEDs. So,
Yeah.
You ban them for everybody or accept them for everybody. I'm not really sure what the answer is. We're kind of in one of those weird places in history that, this is probably going to set a precedence going forward. And I'm not really sure which way to go with it.
Is it possible to have a clean sport?
I don't think so, man. I think there's going to be a lot of, somebody said the other day, said, watch all these fighters go down a weight class. But what's interesting to me is, you remember Manny Pacquiao 4 or 5 years ago. This guy was just running through everybody. Now, he's not getting knockouts. He's getting knocked down, but he's not finishing guys like when he was in there with, Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya and Miguel Cotto and just beating the dog snot out of these guys. He's obviously not that guy anymore. And, he's found religion and I believe he's clean. And it was interesting. They're trying to make that Pacquiao Mayweather fight. And one of the provisions that Pacquiao demanded to be in the contract was there's going to be a $5 million fine if one of those, either him or Mayweather, come up positive for PEDs, which, you can see the difference.
That's nothing to Mayweather.
Yeah, you can see the difference. And I don't know Floyd. I'm sure he's using Lidocaine for his hands. But as far as if that's a banned substance or probably, I don't know if there's other PEDs, but like EPO with the rumor that Pacquiao was on, you can really see the difference between then and now. Of course, there's a couple years in age. But, I don't know. I mean, like Chael, like he puts it in a great way. He goes, the reason you take them is because they're performance enhancing. It's medicine. You wouldn't take it if it was going to make you worse. That'd be malpractice. Right. So, they make them better athletes. You raise your testosterone levels. Maybe there needs to be a standard where, yes, you can use them and everybody's got the option. But to have a clean sport, 100%, it's never going to happen. I think what'll happen is the guys that have the money will be able to afford the people that know really how to cover up the stuff.
Hell yeah. Well, maybe our caller has a solution. The caller on the Word on the Street podcast from the 347 area code. We are talking about PEDs, but anything else we've discussed, feel free, feel open. You don't even have to tell us who you are, but what's up, caller? You are on live right now with Coach Jamie Huey and Jake on the Word on the Street. What's up, man? Or woman?
This is Yao.
Mr. Yao, the truth from Queens?
Yes.
Holy shit. Welcome, Yao, a regular, one of our own, a sponsored fighter of the Word on the Street.
Coach, you know why I'm calling.
Coach was the ref. Coach was the ref in the rematch against Allen.
Yao has an agenda, and I believe he probably has some kind of statement.
What?
Yao, what's going on with you and Allen? The try match, the rubber match, part 3 of the fight. What's happening?
Y'all know why I'm here.
That's right, man. Say what you got to say. What's going on here, man? Is there going to be a fight? What can you tell us?
There needs to be a trilogy. There needs to be one. I believe 100% that I won the fight in Vegas, the second fight. Allen won't shut up. For the first time in my life, I'll need to avenge not a loss, but a victory. So I'm calling because I'm calling you out again, Alan. Fight me. Stop ducking me. Stop talking trash on Twitter. Stop talking trash on Instagram, Facebook. Fight me and be a man about it.
Do you want to fight Alan Memorial Day weekend in Las Vegas?
I'm not sure that Alan will even take the fight.
This thing is getting too hot, people. I don't even know. Yeah, man. So you think you won, but Coach Huey was there. He was the actual referee and the judge. Of course, he had no stake in it whatsoever. He showed no favoritism whatsoever. We all know he's a fair man, a good guy. So let's ask
Alan
him, Coach.
put a few bucks in his back pocket.
Yeah, Coach, man. I was claiming he straight up won the 3-round exhibition / fight of the century. You were there. You refed and judged it. We've asked you before, but I mean, now that he's actually listening, maybe you can just tell us again what your impression was of the fight, unbiased.
You know, there was actually, we had a judge, one of the gals there at the gym, but she kind of gave this whole I don't know type of a thing.
She was giving Yao the hungry eyes.
Shit, the first 2 rounds, I think it was a split, and that going into that 3rd round, it was close, man. Maybe Yao kind of nudged it.
Whoa!
You know what they say? Well, you know what they say. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges.
Damn.
Wait, is the judge of the fight now saying that he thinks Yao may have edged the fight and
He said
won?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit.
He said maybe. Oh, we got sparks flying, man. It's like
See, and this is why there needs to be a trilogy, so we can silence everything. I promise I will finish Alan, within 30 seconds.
You don't give a fuck!
I gotta know, Yao. Where do you think he actually got you? Like, if in any area or discipline, where did he have your number, man? Why wasn't it a finish or decisive?
The thing is, legit, I landed way more strikes than Alan. I looked better than Alan. I performed better than Alan. The only thing was he was very aggressive. But I have proof, video proof that when he did charge forward, he barely even hit me. Even Jake can agree. He did not really hit me.
I agree.
Just, charged forward and I would just dodge everything. It was like the Matrix, and I'm not even joking.
Damn. Matrix.
And even
This man's like Morpheus.
In the grappling, he had no chance at all. And I'm sure, everyone saw that. So in the striking, all he did was just charge forward and, put his head down and throw, windmill punches that didn't land, and I outstruck him. But this is why there needs to be a trilogy. I promise everyone listening, I promise everyone on the call, I will finish Alan in less than 30 seconds.
Damn, a finish, dude. A legit finish. What? I believe it, man. It needs to happen. The rubber match. Yao versus Alan 3.
It has to. That is why I am on this call.
Well, he's probably going to listen to this.
And if there's not a trilogy, these motherfuckers are going to shit talk until they're both 90 years old and dead.
Oh, but it'll help sell it, though. Yao,
it'll be like Pacquiao Mayweather.
That's right.
I think this will be more entertaining, man. These 2 gentlemen are more in their prime. Mayweather, Pacquiao, I don't know. That fight should have happened 10 years ago, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Honestly. But yeah, Alan is going to listen to this. What are your thoughts, your final words, your challenge to him? What do you got to say to Alan, who will be listening to this? He probably is right now, just cowering in fear, or of course, bravely defending his neighborhood. But what do you got to say?
Well, I said everything that needs to be said already, but directly to Alan, please stop going on social media and having your fans or whatever back you up with your trash talk. Just fight me. I am available. You know where I live. I will come fly to Louisiana if you want me to. I
Plank
just want
Road.
to finish you. So, yes, Plank Road. We can fight on Plank Road, Louisiana. Please, just stop the talking. Please just fight me. It can be anywhere. It can be Vegas, New York, Louisiana, Texas, even Austin. I'm sure Ramsey wouldn't mind hosting that.
Fight on the moon.
Anytime.
Yeah,
I just
what
really
is there a
want
weight
to-
difference between? Is there a weight difference between you and Alan? Or you guys are pretty close, aren't you?
There's a 5-pound weight difference. I'll even come down to his weight. I have 5 pounds on Allen. I'll come down if he wants me to. Like, I really don't care. The weight isn't an issue.
Let's get this set up on a maybe on a SCSS card. Chell's got his amateur organization up in Oregon, or there's Tough Enough in Las Vegas. Maybe get it on a legit, amateur MMA card. That'd probably be the best way to do it instead of, these are the rules. Let's kind of do this. Let's kind of do that. Just open it up. Get the experience.
That would be that would be great. That would be a great opportunity, But the thing is, to go this is not going to be a fight. This is going to be me going in and just finishing Allen. So to go through all of that, I think it's a little bit too much. We can just do this on the side because it's not going to last long at all. I'm just going to go in and finish him. So to go through all that, the travel and the blood test, and also I want to make sure that Allen's not doping either. So
That's true. I've heard things, man.
You might have confiscated.
We may
Looking for an
have
edge.
we may have shared a hotel room with Alan. I saw a few used syringes. I don't know what they were used for. Could have been Hana. We never know.
He's looking for an edge, man. He doesn't like the split decision, the tie. He needs that edge now. Both of you guys do. Yeah, I mean, how do we know that you're not juicing? Or maybe you're a big John Jones fan. Are you in love with the Coco? How does Alan know that you're not the one who's cheating here?
test me. I have nothing to hide. You can test me. I have nothing to hide.
All right.
But I do have to go train. So thank you for taking my call.
I understand, man.
I have to go train. I train 5 times a day. So
when is your next fight?
Middle of the night. It's actually midnight where Yao is, but he's gonna go train, he says.
When is your next fight gonna be?
I don't know. Soon though. I have something coming up soon, so I'll let you guys know.
All right, Yao. We'll follow up with you soon. We will start a GoFundMe to get both of you and Alan, randomly tested. So expect that any day. It's going to be some guy. He's going to drop my name and he's going to say, "All right, here's the piss test." The GoFundMe will be up soon, and we'll get
I'm
this
all
going.
for it. And please let the people on Twitter know. Let them know.
I will, man. We'll get posters and everything. I'll even contact the Jew. But
No,
Okay.
not the Jew, please.
all right, he's out of this. Yeah,
Do you have a
he
problem?
did
He's
screw
the
up the
reason-
footage.
The Jew?
He's the reason no one even saw the second fight.
That's true.
That's true.
He could fuck up a cup of coffee, is how we like to say.
Ross is solely responsible for the lack of distribution for the second fight.
What was that book, A Million Shattered Pieces? That's what he did with the footage or whatever. God bless him, though. He is my son, and I love him to death.
I'm trying to stall Yao a little bit here because I saw Alan Hamilton just logged onto Skype, and I would love to hear a response from the Eagle, but I don't know if he's going to call in or not.
I did try to reach him, but unfortunately, he is not responding. He may be, doing some sort of cowardly duty. I don't know what he does for a living, but I'm sure it's very cowardly and not brave at all in any
Justice
sort of
for
respect.
Mike Brown.
Yes. But yeah, we thank you for your time. We'll go ahead and let you go, but we will promote your fight. We will be there. I'll make sure a professional camera crew actually shows up and captures it.
WBG.
Thank you.
Yeah. And stay black because that's the most important thing. Fight the power every day, yeah.
Okay.
Stay black.
Okay.
I know, it's racist. But thanks, man. No, we'll talk to you soon. I'll get you a PS5. There goes Yao, people.
It's that
Coach,
new shit.
sorry, but thanks again for taking part in the Yao versus Allen rematch. You did ref that fight. Apparently the footage was recorded in literally a million different pieces and segments, making it nearly impossible to edit together. But we do thank you for the effort you put together the gym. You just being there legitimized it beyond reason. Hopefully you'll be at the third fight. We'd love to have you ref and be a judge once again.
Well, I'll let somebody else judge this time. I'll rest it, but I'm not. I'm not putting myself into that situation, Clay.
Yeah, I have a suspicion that someone's gonna die this time too. I gotta say.
Yeah.
I think one of them's gonna take it too far, and I don't know
There's
which
going to be
one.
a lot of money on the next fight.
Yeah, like now, like there's too much ego and pride on the table. It's more real than the UFC.
As real as it gets.
Yeah, but hopefully I'll be there. Maybe I'll ref it. I don't know. I'm
There
fair.
you go. Yeah.
I'm fair.
Hey,
but I'm fair.
Ramses, you touched on it when we had Yao. I don't think we've talked to Coach about this yet. You got a chance to meet him during the filming of Tough 17, but what was your reaction to all this news about John Jones being in love with the Coco?
Oh man. Man, I hate saying bad stuff about anybody. But I was disappointed. I was disappointed to hear it. We keep saying, John's a young guy, and at some point you just got to stop making excuses. Come on, cocaine, really? I mean, honestly, if it was marijuana, I wouldn't have even thought twice about it. But
He was bringing back the '80s.
yeah, cocaine. What the fuck? Who the fuck has cocaine? Like, I just, as a professional athlete, like, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, maybe in the '80s. But yeah, I was just disappointed, man. I was disappointed to hear it. I don't, if I felt like John really had like a severe problem, like he was addicted, then I might be a little bit more sympathetic to the situation. But I think it's just a stupid thing to do. And it was a choice. It was stupid. I was disappointed to hear it. I mean, as a guy that, likes to label himself as a Christian and a role model and a champion. I can't think of anything stupider that somebody would go out and do. So, I completely disappointed. On a side note, I like John. When I see John, I slap his hand, give him a hug, and see, but you got to call a spade one time, sometimes, and it just idiotic, stupid. I don't know what else to name it.
The dude, do you think, well, first off, I have to mention, you told the story about how when you were coaching Tough 17 it was the Sonnen versus Jones season, John came up to you one time and he said, "Coach, hey, how much?" And now that we look back on it, we thought he was talking about hiring your services as a boxing coach and sparring partner, whatever. Now does that take on a new meaning? Do you think he was hitting you up? Do you think he was like, this guy looks like a dealer? Like,
Right. saw my bald head and he thought this guy's a knucklehead. He doesn't have something. He's got to know somebody that does.
Exactly.
Why me of all people? He's in Las Vegas. I mean,
Coach Huey's got on the low.
There's 1,000 other places you could go for that. Why would you hit me up in the lobby of the Ultimate Fighter gym?
Maybe that's just how he does it. Like he just goes up to people and is like, how much? And then they just reveal what they have to him. And he's like, well, I got money. I might as well. I do feel bad for the guy because he does get singled out. I mean, and because he is, he's basically the equivalent of the president of MMA fighters. He's the face. He's the head champion of the organization.
I mean, with great, comes a lot of responsibility. He's got a lot of responsibility. I mean, hopefully it's a wake up call. It's time to grow up. He's not. I don't care if he's 24, 25 now or 26, whatever he is. I mean, realistically, it's time for him to grow up. He's got a lot on his plate, but I don't think it was like an escape from all. I don't think John is addicted. I don't think he's a crackhead or a cokehead or he's addicted to drugs. I think he's just acting like a stupid idiot kid, and he needs to grow up, man. I mean, that's just really the bottom line. You can't. It's just stupid decisions. I don't think there's an addiction problem there at all. I think he just, young, dumb, and doesn't know what to do with himself, and he's making some bad decisions. It sounds like he's putting himself out. He's moving out of New York, and he's going to relocate out there to out to New Mexico, and John's influenced. Like everybody, you hang out with a certain type of crowd, you can't help but be influenced by them, and those type of people. I'm the same way. I get it. I've done my share of stupid things throughout my life, but if there's one thing I've always said is I do two things. I surround myself around good people and I work my ass off. And at some point in my life, I had to kind of realize that, if I'm going to hang out with a bunch of knuckleheads, I'm probably going to be the worst one in the room. But if I hang around successful people, I'm going to try to strive to be exactly where they're at. And that's where I've really tried to position myself, in my later years. And hopefully John doesn't, wait too long before he figures out the same lesson.
Yeah. Speaking of John, Chael did an interview and revealed that John Jones did not actually practice at all one single time during the filming of The Ultimate Fighter 17. Is that true, or is that maybe an exaggeration? I know John got in there and worked with people and demonstrated and did a few things, but Chael's saying he didn't actually do a full session of practicing. Is there any truth to
I heard the same. Yeah, I mean, I heard the same thing. Obviously, I'm on Team Sonnen, so I wasn't in there for all the practices. But the guys on his team, and friends that hold cameras and do production stuff. I basically heard the same thing.
What do you think about that?
That's what makes him so freaking scary, man. This guy. It's known that John doesn't really train for fights. He goes into camp and trains for a fight, is what I meant. But he doesn't train between fights. I mean, he'll, if he's fighting, twice a year, he'll put in 2 months, 8-week training camp leading up to a fight. He'll go out there and he'll just do this magic, spinning back elbows, and he's creating all these, amazing striking things that, on the fly.
It begs the question.
Tom, and he doesn't go back to the gym, and then 2 months later he's training months later he's training for a fight, and that's what makes the guy so scary is he isn't a full-time grind, but he's such a dynamic striker anyway. But, you know, I will say this, and I said it before, and I said this, you can go back to my Twitter feed, and I said this about 2 weeks before Jay Glazier came out with his article, and I told everybody, if Rumble closes the distance on John, the same way Cormier was able to penetrate the distance on John, man, Rumble's a bad dude. Like, Rumble will stop anybody. I know how good John is at range and striking and coming in even close range with elbows. But Cormier was right there in his grill. I think Cormier was coming up with the nice uppercuts, but he never really went to the body. You know, Tyson used to have this great combo where he'd hit you with the right to the body, then he'd come up with the uppercut, or he could hit you with the left, come up with the uppercut, finish with the right, and then a hook. You know, Cormier was throwing the uppercut and he was landing it, but he wasn't breaking them down. And with a guy like John Jones, you kind of really, if you're going to be able to get that close, you really got to start investing breaking down his body, especially in a 10-round or in a 5-round fight. But Rumble's a guy that can do it with a couple punches. I mean, he's going to break ribs. He's going to come up. He goes to the body. He comes up to the head. You know, if Rumble can't beat him in 2 rounds, then he probably won't. But he's got a better chance than anybody of stopping John in the first 2 rounds of a fight, especially if he can get to the same distance that Cormier did. So I'm excited about that fight, and I hope John's going to take that one serious, because if he doesn't, he's going to be in big trouble, and we're going to have a different champion.
Hell yeah! I hope it's a damn good fight. I just hope Rumble doesn't freeze because it's John Jones. Because John Jones is starting to build up that factor that Anderson Silva had, where people are just afraid to even fight him. And
there's a lot of fighters that have whole careers like that. Mike Tyson, no disrespect to Mike, but he had a lot of guys beat before the bell rang. Roy Jones had guys beat before the bell rang. You know, there's those fighters like Anderson Silva have this era supremacy. Uriah Hall had that on 17. Yep. There's an era supremacy that guys are thinking about before the bell fight or before the bell rings, and they're scared of the guy before the fight. So mentally, they've already kind of won the fight. The guy's going to kind of go through the motions and try not to get hurt. And yeah, John's kind of developing that, and I hope Rumble doesn't buy into that. I don't think Cormier did buy into that, but I think John was just too much for Cormier. I think the strength different. I'm not saying Cormier's not a strong guy, but he's not Rumble Johnson. So yeah, you're right though. You absolutely nailed it. 80% of this game at some point is mental. 20% is mechanical, and that's why a guy like Kelvin Gastelum was so successful. I mean, he just mentally is so mentally strong. The kid doesn't think he can lose. And even after this Tyron Woodley fight, I don't really think he felt like he lost that fight as much as, you know, the weight cut hurt him and everything. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Given all those factors I gave in regards to breaking down the fight mechanically, that mental piece has to be right for Rumble Johnson. And if it is, I think he'll beat John Jones.
Quick take, Jake, on the Rumble.
That's my name.
Versus Jones
Quick take,
fight.
Jake.
And then we'll get to the last question for Coach Huey before we send this out of here.
Quick take, Jake. I'm going to be rooting for Rumble. Rumble's got that KO power, but it seems like at this point to pick against John Jones, man, Gus was so close to beating him, and Jones turned it on, was losing 2-1 after the 3rd round, won the 4th and 5th round. He handled DC in a fight that I was at, unfortunately, to see one of my favorite fighters lose. But yeah, it seems foolish to pick against John Jones at this point. I'm hopeful from what Coach said, and I will be rooting for Rumble because I like him a lot. But if I had to put cash on it, like I said, hard to pick against the pound for pound king.
Yeah, I've got John Jones. I mean, he whoops Sonnen's ass. He can probably beat everyone else's ass as far as I'm concerned, and that's the bottom line. But we'll of course cover that when the fight comes up a little bit closer. But my last question for Coach Huey before we wrap this entire thing up, Coach, the news came out, of course, within the past couple of weeks that Anderson Silva failed his drug test. What is it? Almost 3 or 4 times he got popped with even more shit than jail. How much? You're better off naming the shit that he didn't get popped for at this point.
At first the UFC wanted to keep him on tough, which is crazy how they'll kick a retired guy off Fox, but they'll keep an active fighter on as a tough coach, basically until fan backlash forces their hand to take him off. Yeah.
But yeah, basically Anderson Silva got popped with all sorts of different crap, anti-anxiety meds, different types of steroids, not even the good kind, not even the expensive designer custom shit.
The weight cutting kind.
And who knows what the hell else it was. People are saying like he must have, there's even speculation that he's having some sort of liver problem, and that's why it even showed up, because normally that shit disappears quick. So now that speculation's going on, but of course Anderson Silva's legacy in doubt. You being a Team Sonnen coach all these years, I mean, you saw what they did to Chael. What do you think is going to happen to Anderson? Does he deserve it? Did you see it coming? Was this a known thing in the business? What's your take on the fall of Anderson Silva?
I mean, it surprised me, like everybody. Chael made a great point. He said, you look at Anderson and his body hasn't changed. So was he always on something? I mean, he's not a big physical guy, but he didn't get physical. He didn't physically change in that last fight when he was on these PEDs either. So, is it possible he was, I don't, and that here's the thing. Here's what this whole drug, it's kind of, the PED thing is going to kind of mirror the drug culture. You try to suppress it, you try to outlie it. Guys are still going to get it. It doesn't matter if we're talking about, heroin, cocaine, or marijuana, right? If somebody wants it, they're going to get it. So with the whole PED thing, guys know the benefits of taking them. They're going to take them. They're going to worry. It's like anything. It's easier to apologize tomorrow than it is to ask for permission today. And I think what's going to happen is this is really going to drive the market for, some of these strength and conditioning guys, coaches that are out here that, they think they know magic. They've got all the magic answers to, the red blood cells, and we're going to tweak your nerve system this way by doing it. You know what? A lot of them, man, they're just fronts for selling drugs. And those guys are probably the ones that are going to benefit the biggest from this whole PED thing, because the guys that know how to mask it, those are the guys that are going to be in demand. And so my point in this is something changed. If Anderson was on other drugs throughout his career, my question is, what changed between now and before, right? Because they were doing drug testing back then. All of a sudden he's getting popped. I mean, if they were masking him, is he not with the same guy that he used to be with? I mean, there's some more questions. I probably have more questions than answers. If you see Anderson's strength conditioning coach, the guy's like 57, 58 years old. He looks like
Rogerio Camues, I think is his name. Black House guy.
Yeah, come on, man. Guy's got veins the size of garden hoses coming out of his biceps. Yep. I mean,
man.
Yeah, it is. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't think that, I think Dana and Lorenzo, and I'm not saying what they should do or what they shouldn't be doing, but them trying to police the sport, I think it's going to hurt the sport. Technically, it's up to the commissions to do their job. But, you know, if all these guys are doing it in football and not getting popped, you know, the NFL obviously doesn't want to push that issue because it's gonna hurt, damage their sport, and it's kind of the same thing in MMA. You know, if Dana and Lorenzo are out there and they're looking for guys to bust, and they're suspending guys for 2 and 4 years for first time offenders, I mean, what's going to happen to the sport? You know, there's so many guys that are probably on this stuff. You know, how many more cards are going to be subject to, you know, just main cards falling off, like, you know. So I don't know, man. It's interesting. This is kind of the first time in history, I think, that there's a precedence being set that we're all just going to be able to sit back and watch. But I don't think it's going to be good for the sport.
I have to agree with you, man. And it's no coincidence. In my mind, I'm just a conspiracy theorist, but I like to think of myself as a realist. I see Anderson Silva finally get popped for like shit that he clearly, if he was using the entire time, he should have gotten popped for it before. I mean, this shit isn't. He wasn't really trying to really mask any of this. Like, that leads me to believe that he never got caught before because nobody bothered to catch him, if you know what I'm saying. He was making money before. He was the cash cow. He comes back for this fight, and he's not the same Anderson anymore. People see that damn racehorse ain't the fastest on the track anymore, and then they release the fact, they reveal that, oh yeah, he failed his drug test. And then this whole mess starts. Yes, that's a conspiracy of the day, people. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense that he would get so obviously popped this time around, unless he thought he could get away with it, just like he's gotten away with it every single time before. A reasonable assumption when you're Anderson Silva coming back for this money in an organization that desperately needed a big star back. But yeah, it's no good. But of course, my position, as always, let the juice loose. I just hope the truth is even more horrifying than we could ever imagine. You're damn right. And with that, we will let Coach Huey go. He has been an excellent guest, co-host, producer, part owner, brother, friend, referee, judge. There till the end. Coach Jamie Huey, the living legend. Where can
It'll
people
be a father
find contact? Soon. Exactly, up and coming. Where can people just keep up with you and contact you? What's happening?
I'm currently here in Salt Lake City, Utah. So if you're in the area, hit me up on Twitter at Coach Jamie Huey. Website www.coachjamiehuey.com. Same email. Out here working with a couple guys. So you know, I'm available for privates. Other than that, yeah, man. You know, as always, guys, it's a pleasure being on, and looking forward to doing it again soon.
God bless you, Coach.
We'll have you back on soon, man. Yep, take care. The Mrs. and the Junior coming up, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys.
Later, man. That leaves me and you, Jake, man.
There he goes.
Let's wrap this one up. Before we do, man, any final thoughts? Topics?
I just came across a pretty funny news story. I wanted to share. UFC headliner Frank Mir apparently arrived in Brazil. He is dead. No, he's going to be headlining the card in Brazil against Bigfoot this weekend. Apparently, homie got caught at airport security in Brazil with bullets in his bag. Quote, I have a bunch of different gym bags.
He was running ammo?
Too many bags that I use in my backpack, I guess. I hadn't used it since I went shooting last. He said, I flew from Vegas to LA, no one noticed it. I flew from LA to Sao Paulo, no one noticed it. And then apparently, and he said, quote, the first guy, he kind of panicked a little bit instead of gotta call the police. He walked off. It kind of sucked because the manager of the area came over. She basically said, let's forget this. It's an understandable mistake. But then the other guy ran off with my passport. Firearms are illegal in Brazil, so he stressed out a little bit. It sounded like he dodged a bullet, no pun intended here, but people, you cannot be rolling into different countries with bullets in your bag. Come on.
No, I completely understand, man. I believe him on this one, dude. One time, I went to Vegas. It was probably 2008, maybe 2007. I flew from Austin to Vegas. It was all good. Got there fine. Had a good time in Vegas. Tore it up. Went to the Star Trek Hilton. Cork's Bar back when it was up there, still up and running. This was one of the times I went there in fucking summer, never going back there again. Not in the summer. No. I'm sorry. It was ridiculous. I almost died. But I'm coming back. The vacation's over. I'm ready to leave Vegas. I'm going to fly back to Austin. I go to the Vegas airport. Before I get on the plane, they search me. They search my carry-on backpack and then discover a goddamn can of mace.
Oh, no way. Oh.
Right.
Fuck.
I had forgotten that like maybe 8 months previous to that, my dad had gotten me that mace just as like a Christmas side gift, it got me like 20 other things. It was some mace. I just put it in my backpack, whatever. I didn't even remember it. And I took it they didn't catch it in the airport going from Austin to Vegas. So I got on a plane and I had fucking mace on me. And they caught the Vegas people. They did get me. I don't know how they got me, but they got me with the mace. As soon as they pulled it out and they're like, what's this? I'm like, oh shit, my dad gave it to me for Christmas. I didn't even fucking remember it was there. And then they did the whole thing. They had to go to their damn supervisor. And like as soon as they walked away, that 3 other people are just staring at you. You can feel it. And oh shit, man, this is serious. I tried to bring arguably a weapon on a plane. And then I was with somebody, and I told her, I was like, they're probably going to arrest me. Call my mother. Here's the number. Tell her to bail me out. Explain what happened. And then they just come back after a few minutes, and they're like, all right, we're going to have to throw it away. We believe you, though. And then the woman was very nice. She had nice, caring human eyes. She was not a TSA zombie. And I looked at her, and I said, thank you for understanding. And then I came back to Austin, and that girl, having had used me for the vacation, she proceeded to never talk to me again. And that's the word on the street.
Are things, speaking of women, are things going well with the lovely Katie and the lovely Alexis?
Katie Bear, well, we broke up some time ago. It's now going on 6 days. Well, 5 days since Valentine's. We were supposed to meet up for lunch. She never showed up. I waited there 6 hours at the restaurant.
Wow.
She just sent me a message.
She broke up with you via text? Via tweet?
It's a tweet. I just retweeted it. It's a video message, but I haven't been able to listen to it since I've been podcasting. But it's up there on my Twitter, the Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter.
I can play it now if you want to play it on air.
You know what? Let's play it. This is Katie Bear's debut on the fucking podcast. Let's play her message to me that she sent a few minutes ago, 28 minutes ago.
Here we go.
No. You can get your goodnight kiss from Lexi, though.
Oh, shit.
God damn. Yeah, I did ask her for a goodnight kiss. She posted that she was going to bed. Nice, sweet picture of her all tucked in, nice and cozy. Alone.
This podcast is so creepy. Oh, my God.
But, Lexi, if you're out there, girl, hit me up on the DMs with that peck, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, shout out to Katie Bear and Lexi Bear. all my Twitter bears, I know you're out there.
I used to
And
get a Korean chick that you would have to come on her face, and then she would have to masturbate for her to come.
it's hard times. And let's go ahead and send it out there. Unless there's another topic that we haven't hit on, Jake. What do you think?
You did want me to cue up a little clip
that's
that
right.
Chael Sonnen himself authorized you to use.
That's right. I got distracted by the tweet from Katie Bear, my friend, and my boss, Chael Sonnen, actually
I'm always
tweeted at
here,
me
baby.
earlier while the show was live. I asked him permission to air the clip from his podcast, which is called You're Welcome on podcast1.com. Podcast1.com. You're Welcome is the Chael Sonnen podcast. And this is the latest episode. He was talking to Ben Askren, and they got to talking and telling a story about Front Row Brian. He tried to wrestle Ben Askren and Chael Sonnen in the same day. And he lived to talk about it. Well, he actually has no recollection of it. But I asked Chael if I could air the clip on the podcast of him telling the story, the FRB story. And Chael said, yes, of course. And I thank you, Chael Sonnen. Shout out to you. We'll get you on the show soon. Hopefully, I'll find a way to con you into it.
The title interview.
Some sort of angle, exactly. We will go for the title this year, I believe. But in the meantime, Jake, it's like at the 40-minute mark of the link I sent you. They started talking about FRB, who is our friend Front Row Brian. And Front Row Brian, I apologize, but I mean, we did invite you to come on the show and comment and respond to this story yourself. Maybe a rebuttal or denial. And we haven't heard from you, man. So I'm just going to go ahead and just air the story as is without your feedback or response on it. Yeah, but hopefully we get you on the show soon to explain yourself, because it sounds like you're a mess of epic proportion. But God bless you. In my opinion, you're like the Iron Sheik if he was in a younger, capable body, just tearing shit up. And Jake, whenever you're ready, man, what do you hear? What do you say?
So I'm getting ready to come out to Milwaukee, and Front Row Brian comes out there. Internet sensation, media mogul, the one and only Front Row Brian, but he beats me to it. He lands about 4 hours before I do. He comes over to your house. He starts drinking Jack Daniel's Black like it's Coors Light. And by the time I land, I have a text message from you. My phone was dead, so when I power my phone up, I've got a text message from you that says, you tell me what I just said. Brian's been drinking Jack Daniels. He's in my living room, and he attacked me 8 times, and I had to put him down 8 times. What can you tell us about this situation?
Well, you know who kicked his butt more than I did? Well, obviously the Jack Daniels kicked his butt. We did determine that night that Jack Daniels is not a performance-enhancing drug in any way, shape, or form. But Mark Bader of Flow Wrestling fame, Front Row Brian, Mark's a little smaller, so I think Brian thought, hey, this guy's a little smaller. Maybe I can get this guy, right? Mark was looking like Aaron Pico, just snapping into the floor over and over again. I was really impressed by Brian's ability to get up time after time and keep on fighting.
So wait a minute. Okay, let me tell you what I picture. Even just by your text when you told me the story, there was a movie called Borat. And Borat goes into a dojo, and he takes on the instructor. It lasts for about 2 seconds, and he's like, okay, I'm good. I understand the instructor, lets him up. And then Borat turns and attacks the instructor again. And this just keeps happening over and over. And eventually it's hilarious. But that's how I'm seeing this. Like, every time you guys let Brian up, he's like, okay, no, I'm good. And then he just comes at you again. Am I anywhere close to the depiction of how it actually happened?
Yeah, that would be, that was a good scene in the movie right there. But yeah, that was very, I mean, maybe not quite as aggressive as Borat. He'd give it maybe 30 seconds and maybe forget about how he just got slammed on the ground. And then he would think it was a good idea to attack someone again, and then he'd get slammed again. Then he'd maybe drink some whiskey, take 2 minutes, and think it was a good idea again. But yeah, I mean, a slowed down version of the Borat. I mean, it was,
I did put a picture online. I didn't show Brian's identity because I know that's a secret to everybody. But I did show him getting choked out. I think Mark had him in a guillotine or something in the picture I posted.
Oh, that's classic. By the time I finally saw him, I got into the car. He met up with another buddy that ended up driving him over there, a guy named Matt, to the airport. I come out of the airport. I see Brian. He's sitting in the front row passenger seat of the car, eyes wide open, and he does not acknowledge my existence. Now, I don't fully relate. I've never had a drop of alcohol. I only take performance enhancers. So I don't know a damn thing about this. I can't, but he's wide awake. He's looking at me, but he does not form a word. So I throw my bag in. I sit in the car behind him. I reach over the seat. I kind of rub his shoulder, say, hey, what's going on? Nothing. About 5 minutes into the ride, he's trying to form a word, but no word is coming out. It's just these noises. So Matt, who's driving, finally deduces, oh, man, this guy's about to throw up. So he opens the door. Brian starts throwing up. Eventually, he stops. We shut the door. We drive on to the hotel, which is only about a 2-minute drive. It's pretty quick. Well, in between him throwing up and the hotel, he throws up 3 more times, except now we're going 50 miles an hour. So he can't get his head out the door or the window, and so he throws up all over himself. So by the time we get to the hotel, he gets out of the car, and now he is sobered up enough to know that he's made a social faux pas, if you will. He wants to apologize to me. Well, he wants to apologize to me with a hug. But he's got
the shoes on himself.
It's all over himself, and I'm just like, oh, God, and I just give him the hug. So now we both got puke on us. It's really gross, but I don't know what else to do. So we get up to the room, and, Brian is classic. He can sleep anywhere, no blanket, and a spotlight on his eyes. He'll sleep on the floor.
When you're that drunk, it helps a little bit.
I mean, he'll just be out. There's more times I've walked in where he's come to meet me places and he's beat me to. I'll come in the room, he's out. Beer bottles absolutely everywhere. All the lights on, TV, everything. No blanket, and he's out cold. So we get back up to the room, and now it's me, him, and this Matt guy. And so he wants to apologize to us both again with the hug. Oh, I'm sorry, and give the bro hug. So now that we're in the room, and I have throw up on me already, and I only have one change of clothes. I only came in for one day to do this. And I kind of stop him politely, and you got to be real passive aggressive when you're dealing with a drunk Brian. I go, hey, you have this throw up on you. You might want to change. And he's like, okay. So he turns around and he just strips. He keeps his boxers on, but other than that, he's naked. No shoes, no socks, no shirt, no pants. And I'm watching him take his clothes off and put them in this pile. And all of a sudden, he turns around with this grin on his face, facing me now, and changes elevation. And as soon as he did, I had a flashback of the text message that you had sent me earlier saying he was coming at you 8 times. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm about to wrestle a naked front row Brian. And sure enough, he charged me like a bull. And with that, Ben, you can head to practice, buddy. Thank you for the time.
All right, you're welcome.
Hey, I appreciate you. Take care, Ben.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. God bless him, man. But our friend from O'Brien, obviously he is a cry for help at this point. And, we're going to try to be there for him, but there's only so much we can do. He does have a problem. Jake, let's get the hell out of here. What do you hear? What do you say? Any final words, thoughts? Where can people reach you? What's going on with you? What's your life story?
My life story. Visit us on Twitter at the MMA Podcast, themmapodcast.com. Thank you, Coach, for being on the show. Thank you, whoever listened. Tell a friend about the word on the street if you enjoyed it. Ramses, as always, thank you, and looking forward to the next one.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Coach Jamie Huey, our guest. Jake from the MMA Podcast, thank you.
Sucker.
Ray from MMA Mental, Front Row Brian. Sorry, but it had to be done. Davey Boy, AMS, I'm not just working you to get to the daughter, I swear to God. Mayhem Miller, Lexi Bear, Alan, Yao, Kelvin Gastelum, Uriah Hall. Thank you to Chael Sutton for allowing us to use this material on the show tonight, giving me his express permission. I'll never forget you, man. Shout out to Halburn, Tyler Minton, Nate Diaz, Mark Ramondi, Isaac Valley Flag, Martin Lawrence, Michelle Lopez, Fleshlight, the Las Vegas Fight Shop,
James McKinley,
Chuck D from Public Enemy, and Gates McFadden, Dr. Beverly Crusher from Star Trek The Next Generation. People, we'll see you next week on the Word in the Street podcast. Thank you for listening. Follow me on Twitter, The Aunt Jimmy Show. We'll try to get big name guest. I'm working on something that nobody will ever believe, ever, even after it happens, and I have the proof recorded. Even when you're listening, you'll see I don't believe this is happening. It's coming up. Stay tuned. I love you, Katie Bear, Lexi Bear, Ashley Bear. I got more. I got so many hosts. Thank you all. Good night. Word on the
Stay black.
We will listen to a politician with the same story every 4 years with that sorry-ass line of shit. But these fucking momos will get offended because I say the word fuck. Forget about the curse words. So next time you listen to your bullshit congressman or your bullshit governor or even a bullshit president or somebody who's running for president and he's hitting you with that same force shit that they give you every 4 fucking years and you still vote for the fucking momo and then you get mad, think about me saying the word fuck.
Take me through it.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you gonna get. Don't you ever talk about me.
Who was talking about you?
Crabtree, don't you open your mouth about the best. Or I'm gonna set it for you real quick. LOB.